Sometimes the greatest act of faith is to laugh, even when the world says you shouldn't. Perhaps Jesus came to show us the absurdly, wildly freeing nature of God's love. What's up, my EFF? Let me tell you how it is. You've just stumbled upon Jots, a series about the nature of love, compassion, joy, and the real-life connection between human beings. I'm Ender Bowen, Nashville, Tennessee rock pop artist, author, husband, father, complete dork, and aspiring compassionist. Sit back, relax, and be prepared to laugh, cry, maybe even spit in someone's eyes for some reason. Maybe don't do that. I don't know if you've caught this by now, but I love humor. All kinds of it. Absurdity, parody, satire, the works. It's a sort of release valve, a way to cope with all the dark stuff we bump into in the world. Humor allows us to look hard things in the face, pull them apart, laugh at them, and in a way, make them a little less powerful. It's one of the reasons I've always been drawn to subversive humor. There's something liberating about humor that refuses to play nice with established norms or accepted wisdom. It goes after the pain. It calls out the hypocrisy. And in doing so, it helps us cope, doesn't it? Absurdity does this too, but it goes a step further, making us question what we thought was so serious in the first place. Here's where I'm going with this. Jesus had humor. Yeah, and he used it in these subversive, absurd ways to reveal deep truths about God and humanity. Humor was a core part of his radical, rule-breaking approach to life. Yet, somehow, when we talk about Jesus today, we seem to miss the joy, the comedy, and the lightness. We get caught up in his sacrifice, which, of course, is huge and central to the story, but we ignore the fact that his life was full of laughter, surprise, and humor. And when I look around at how serious the world has become, it makes me wonder if we're losing something essential. Hey, before we get too deep here, if you like this shirt I'm wearing, you can find this one and others like it at godjotstore.com. Get on over there. I won't tell anyone. See, somewhere along the way, we got a little too serious for our own good. We've become guarded, taking offense at nearly everything. Satire, parody, people don't seem to get it anymore. It's like we've decided that humor is only funny if it's tearing down someone we don't like. And even then, it's often an angry kind of laughter, a gotcha moment. We've started taking ourselves way too seriously. And in the process, we're missing the joy. And this goes beyond the world in general. I see it in the church, too. I see it in how a lot of Christians talk about Jesus and faith. Now, don't get me wrong, reverence for Jesus is a good thing. Recognizing the gravity of his sacrifice is obviously important. But if we're not coming into joy, if we're not laughing and enjoying the life he has given us, what did he sacrifice for? Look at what Jesus was doing when he was here. He was healing people in wild ways, flipping tables in the temple and telling parables that had a sly, clever wit to them. He took religious norms and literally flipped them on their heads. He challenged societal expectations, often in ways that were hilariously unexpected. How do we not see the humor in that? Now just think about it. Feeding 5,000 people with 5 loaves and 2 fish. How do we not see the humor there? Jesus is sitting there with a handful of food like, oh, you think I need a food truck? Watch this. Or when he healed the blind man by spitting in his eyes. It's this beautifully absurd image. Jesus, of all people, spitting in someone's face. He's practically spitting in the face of our own narrow understanding of how things should work. And what about walking on water? This is Jesus saying, you know the laws of physics? Yeah, not today. It's the ultimate subversive move, a refusal to be confined by the limitations we set up. And yes, there's deep symbolism there also, but it's funny. Jesus could have taken a boat like everyone else. Instead, he chooses to stroll on water like it's no big deal, surprising everyone. Or consider the ultimate punchline, overcoming death itself. It's as if someone in the crowd said, yeah, you've fed people, you've healed people, and you've walked on water, but come on, you can't beat death. And Jesus just goes, hold my water. Wait, just hold another second here, sorry. Hold my wine. Then he goes and he does it. Death itself, the thing that terrifies us most, the thing we hold in such dark reverence, is turned into the ultimate absurdity by his resurrection. Jesus laughs in the face of death, and in doing so, he frees us to do the same. He transforms death from a grim inevitability to a doorway to joy. These aren't just miracles. They're reminders of how small our ideas are about what God can do. Jesus had this amazing ability to play with reality, bending it, challenging it, blowing people's minds. Blew mine. And he did it with a sense of humor. He didn't come to lecture us into joylessness. He came to show us the absurdly, wildly freeing nature of God's love. I am so excited to tell you about my first God Jots book, Forgiveness and Healing, How to Seek, Offer, and Understand the Power of Forgiveness. It has all kinds of lessons on how to ask for forgiveness, how to offer forgiveness, and real stories from real people who've experienced it. Not only that, it talks about why it's important. It helps you understand and how to empower yourself to forgive. I'm telling you, if you don't want to live in a divisive world, and you want to start using a little bit more compassion, you've got to start with forgiveness. So get God Jots, Forgiveness and Healing, How to Seek, Offer, and Understand the Power of Forgiveness. Available now and also signed. Go to forgivenessbook.godjots.com. If this is who Jesus was, and Jesus was God made man, then this is who God is. God is joyful. He's not sitting up there with his arms crossed, frowning at our every misstep. He's inviting us into a life of joy and freedom, into a life where we don't have to take everything so darn seriously. Look, it's easy to get bogged down by the weight of the world. I catch myself taking things far too seriously sometimes, and I forget that laughter is a crucial part of life. I forget that in my mission of compassion, laughter is necessary. Because without humor, compassion can start to feel heavy and burdensome. But humor reminds us that we're human, that we're all a bit ridiculous sometimes. That's okay. So what if we took a page from Jesus' book and let ourselves laugh at the absurdity of life? What if we looked at the world with a little more playfulness like he did? Pointed out the absurd, let ourselves be absurd, laughed at our own failings, and celebrated the joy of simply being alive. Jesus, he showed us how to do that. Jesus, I think, was the ultimate prankster. He was a master of pointing out the ridiculousness without losing sight of the real. He called out the hypocrisy, yes, but he also showed us a deeper, more profound truth. Life is full of joy. And sometimes joy is the most powerful way to push back against the darkness. So the next time you find yourself caught up in the weight of things, maybe stop for a second. Look for the humor. Be a little absurd. And remember that sometimes the greatest act of faith is to laugh, even when the world says you shouldn't. This is who God is, a God of joy, of laughter, of absurdity, who invites us into a life that doesn't have to be so heavy. So let's honor him and each other by laughing. All right, now it's your turn. What do you think of this take on Jesus? How might this idea of the absurd be relevant to the world and, more specifically, to your life today? In general, do you take life pretty seriously? What would happen if you changed your way of thinking and started to live in the absurdity of it? Would you find that freeing? What advice would you have for others trying to live in that freedom? I would love for you to share your thoughts about this episode with my growing community of aspiring compationists. Find out how to join us on Discord by going to enderbowen.com/Discord. If you like this episode and want to be notified when new ones are uploaded, make sure you don't leave without hitting that subscribe button, or subscribe to God Jots on your favorite podcast streaming service. You can also check out more God Jots, as well as subscribe to the mail list for ebooks, updates, and exclusive content at godjots.com. Until next time, be honest with yourself, be truthful with others, give people the opportunity to surprise you, and remember that it's impossible to have absolutely nothing in common with another human being. And don't forget to laugh. Be a little light in the world. I'm sure I'll see you soon.